Welcome and good evening, everyone, to another episode of Meet to Motivate. And a very relevant topic this time, right around the holidays. We smell the holidays in the air, and families are coming together. And then there is this crippling loneliness, this feeling of being isolated somewhere deep inside and all around us. So I have a great panel today here to discuss about that. We'll go in all the different aspects of it. So let's start with, introducing our panelist that has really invested their time here to talk about the topic. Because if we look at the statistics, more than half, 52% of Americans have once in their lifetime have talked about feeling isolated or being lonely. So with that said, I would really like to invite our panelists to introduce themselves. So Anjina, let's start with you.
Good evening. Okay, thank you for having me on. That's okay. No worries, Viva. Good evening. Thank you for having me on. My name is Anjana Bhatti, and I am in healthcare management, and I've been doing that for quite some time, probably about 20 years, without giving away my age. I'm really glad to be on the panel for this topic. There's so many different aspects of loneliness that we can talk about, and then differentiate between actually loneliness and being alone. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. Viv, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry about that. I thought I heard my daughter's name, Jaina, so I thought maybe the iPad was still plugged in under her account. Anyways, so my name is Vibha, and I'm a mother to a 15-year-old. I love writing. I love helping out in the community when I can. So those are a few things I enjoy doing. And this topic actually hits very close to home. And as we go forward with the evening, you will realize why. So thank you for having me on this evening. Thank you so much.
You're piquing my interest there. Thank you for that. An honor to have you here. And with that, we'll move on to Gunjan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gunjan. I'm in IT management, and that's the daytime job. And at night, I guess I'm a poet, I'm an author, and I muse on all topics. And I guess this is another one of that loneliness versus alone, versus, yes, as we brought up earlier, is it depression or is it just loneliness? So it'll be a good topic to ponder on today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear all the different perspectives as thinkers and writers and poets that you bring. And with that, I want to pass the mic to our Renu, who is the founder for BWE. And please.
Thank you. And first of all, I want to begin thanking Prabha for stepping in today to host the show. It's such a relief. I want all the ladies and everybody out there that wants to participate in our Meet to Motivate to please come on forward. Not only is this a great opportunity for you to be able to host, but anyone out there that feels, oh, I've never had a chance to do public speaking or communication, this is your chance. This is your chance because it's a very non-judgmental show. So please, just speak up and tell me that you want to host, and it'll be my pleasure. So I can sit back, enjoy my glass of wine. Yes, I'm finally drinking some wine after months, and listen to all you lovely ladies. And yes, during the day, I'm the founder of Genius Kids. I spend all my time with kids. So can you be lonely with kids? No, very hard. But during the nighttime, I love giving back to the community, especially women, and having gone through a lot of issues that women personally go through. I think my journey, it pretty much has had everything that one goes through. So I love to share my experiences. And also I feel that this platform is great for other people to listen in and know that they can connect with other people and other women as well out there that may be going through the same thing or have overcome something like this. So thank you, ladies, for giving up your time today. And I'm looking forward to this show and listening to everyone. So back to you, Prabha.
Thank you. And Renu, I think you said something very interesting about, well, you are surrounded with kids, how could be lonely? And if when you think about it, we are surrounded with one or other. We are going to work, we are surrounded with our colleagues. I go into the grocery shop, we're storing with something. Maybe I'm a plant parent and I'm surrounded with certain things. But that loneliness, the piece of loneliness, that subtle loss, it kind of is attached to our belief that we need to coexist. Our
Right.
existence is validated when we are with something else. And I am sure that everybody on the panel today has their own personal ways to associate that feeling of loneliness or being lonely. So, with that, I do really want to hear, and Jenna, I'll start with you about your personal experiences, your own story about loneliness and being lonely, and how do you perceive that? How do you?
By the way,
My
I'm just sorry. I'm just going to accept somebody on the show. They want to be participating in the conversation, so I'm going to bring them in. But please
Sure.
continue. I didn't mean to
Sure.
interrupt.
No, absolutely. So my personal experience actually started, I experienced it a long time ago when I actually moved to the United States. So as you know, in my background, I was born and raised in Scotland and was always surrounded with my family, my friends, went to school and university there, and really hadn't moved away from home. So I came out to study here and go to medical school. So when I moved out here, I guess I was pretty young at the time, didn't know what to expect, didn't know what to anticipate, and realized very quickly that I felt very lonely and I felt alone, even though I did have immediate family here, but they weren't, it was, my mom's side of the family, but I still felt there was a huge void and a huge gap missing. And just to kind of sum it up in summary, I think just with the experience, that particular experience, part of that, even though I've been here now I'll let you guys do the math then, I suppose. But about 25 to about 27 years I've been here. And there is always still a little something where I can feel that there's a void, there's something missing. It doesn't matter if I've got some really great friends here or if I'm part of a great community there's something. And I think I've come down to part of what I feel being alone, loneliness, and some of these factors have changed over the years with the way we live life nowadays. But I feel part of it is culturally, countries are very different. And you could be more alone in one country or feel loneliness more in one country than another. That's my personal experience. I have felt that whenever I'm in Scotland or Glasgow, and maybe because I was born there and raised there, I don't ever get this feeling, this emptiness, this void. I don't feel alone or lonely. And even strangers will come up, and it's a cultural thing. But whereas if you were just to go up to a stranger and talk to them over here, they would look at you very strangely and think, I mean, what do they want? I mean, not everybody's like that, but that's the general consensus. So I think that's one part of it as well. I think it's cultural. It's a big cultural difference, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I also think with times that have moved on and gone on, I also believe social media and the internet and all of that have really isolated us, really, really isolated. And that was confirmed just a few years ago with the pandemic. We were even more isolated, and all we had was social media, the internet, all the rest of it. I mean, that is when you really saw the percentages of mental health skyrocket. It was unbelievable. And that was saying, guess what? Humans need the human connection. It doesn't matter how far and beyond you go into technology, how great it is, how everybody can do everything that you need to do, technology can do it, AI, all of the rest of it. The bottom line is we were made here for the human connection. They say to exchange energies when you're actually giving somebody a hug, you have to hold and hug them for 6 seconds. And that's when you really, really feel that energy. And I truly still believe that. And I do. Whenever I hug my family or my friends, I'm in my mind, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. I count to 6 and I'm like, okay, our energies are transferring, our connection is connecting. And I think there's a huge lack of that. And I try myself to make sure I am doing things that will stop this loneliness or this happening. So that's my own experience.
Thank you, Anjana. And you said few key things there, right? Actual bonding, physical connection, and how some of the connection that we seek over the network, over the internet, where the world does feel small, is actually diminishing the value of it. So with that, I want to pass the mic to Vibha and hear about your personal experiences around loneliness.
Yeah, so as far as loneliness goes, I was just listening to Anjina talk, and I was thinking about times when I really felt very lonely. And I think the first time was when I went to college. So I went to England to do my master's, and even though I had a really good friend, I missed my parents like crazy. And then I came back home to Botswana in Africa, and I was there for about 9 months. And then I had a job and everything. I was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then I got married, and I came to this country. And I was almost 22 when I got married. So I got married really young. I'd finished school, I'd finished college, I'd started working, and that was very difficult, because we're a very close family. It's just my brother, I, and my parents. And then I came here. I had an arranged marriage. We did get a chance to kind of hang out before the wedding, but it was a huge change, and I felt very, very lonely at that time. And I am an extrovert. My husband's more of an introvert. So, that dynamic, even though we traveled a lot, and we had a really good time, but the absence of my parents, or even though I spoke to them regularly, that made me feel very, very lonely. And it took me several years. I've been in this country for 23 years now. So it's taken me, I would say, a good 20 years to really feel like San Jose is home. But the biggest or most significant chunk of my life where I felt lonely, and this is something that is difficult to share, but I'm going to go ahead and share it for the benefit of everyone, and even for me to let it out. So I'm actually a mother to a 15-year-old lovely girl. My daughter's name is Jaina. So she's on the autism spectrum. She's a very high functioning kid. In other words, she goes to school, she, plays basketball, is a great singer, she goes to social group. But the amount of loneliness I felt as a special needs parent, and more than me, my daughter is the one who I would really feel bad for. And, despite everything, all those hours of therapy and, meeting people, and, I just felt I felt very isolated. And for somebody like me, that is very, very difficult. Over the years, finally, we were able to find a place where, she's happy, I'm happy. It took us a long time, but the amount of loneliness I felt at that time was just crippling. And she's come a long way. I'm very, very proud of her. I'll just quickly show you guys. So this is my daughter, Jaina. I don't know if you can see her. Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So she's my pride and joy. She's worked really hard. We're seeing great results, but there has been a lot of loneliness on this path. And if there's anybody out there who's a special needs parent who's listening to this right now, I get it. I understand. And there is support out there. Feel free to reach out. There are places where you and your child will feel like they belong. So yeah, that's
Vibha,
my.
thank you for, being so vulnerable and authentic, sharing your journey about when you are lonely. And I guess we can reflect that with many of us, that when you are in that space, when you are in a challenge or in a space when you kind of become not part of the norm, not part of what you expected, right? You just expected a happy, raising, healthy child, which was given to you, but you become isolated as soon as you know, well, the plan did not go the way I thought, right? I can connect that with, going through a divorce and you have the whole community around you that is, well, you were supposed to be, the family the way we portray, and you are not anymore. So you are isolated there. So I guess there is a connection between as you grow into that journey and you choose a path or you are just given a path and you feel alone and you get trapped in that space. How do you feel, Gunjan? What is your story and what angle I would say your personal experience bring there?
Yeah, listening to everybody, it is kind of quite heartwarming and also touching. And I believe we all go through our experience of loneliness very differently. I don't know where to bring it forward. I'll share my personal experience, as in, I felt I was always a lonely child. I always had, growing up, very less friends, and I grew up in different continents. I grew up partially in India, and then when I was a teenager, I moved to America. So I have partial schooling in India, and then I have partial schooling in America. So I had a major cultural shift at my teen years, which were growing years. So coming from India, I was a quiet child. I felt lonely. I had very few friends. However, despite being lonely, I was never alone in India. And I was a popular child, being academically good. That is a popular child in India, especially for girls. And when I came to America, I felt it would be the same. And I kind of approached schooling here the same way. And sure, I am a 4.0 GPA child, but I'm not a popular child here. And I have the same loneliness. And however, like in India, I was never alone. There were people around me. Here, I'm also alone. So in this cultural shift, I now face two things together: loneliness and alone. And time went by, life comes around. I got married, I met people, I had my kids, and I went around different journeys in the career path. And then all of a sudden, my husband died. And I found myself on a very different path now, without my significant others, without my kids, fighting different battles with in laws and everywhere. And now I didn't have time to think about loneliness or being alone, even though I was completely alone. I had no family support. I had nobody. I had lost my best friend, my love, my everything. And I was walking alone. However, I did not have even a single minute to think about loneliness. Fast forward today, I'm in a different path in my life. I am remarried. I'm at a different journey. And today I can think about both angles. I am at times lonely and I'm at times alone. However, as a person, over the time, I've had so many times think about it. I am no longer just lonely with myself. I find pleasure in being with myself. Growing up here is a cultural shift I was talking about. I got to attend Thanksgiving parties, all the relatives and the Christmas, and it brought anxiety. It brought around holidays, like you have to give gifts, you have to dress up, you have to talk a certain way, and everybody bringing in their, yes, everybody's issues coming up on that Thanksgiving table. And it was just an anxiety filled event for me. And till today, okay, fine, I am mature enough now. I can laugh it off. I can have wine. Yes, I have a crutch today. I can take a glass of wine, but back then I didn't. So I feel ultimately I had to realize that it is a journey of loneliness within yourself. And at any given point, you are alone and you have to just find the loneliness with different ways you have. So that's my take.
Yeah, I think you said one key thing there, Gunjan, which is about I was actually lonely. You had a loss in your life, but you did not think about being lonely. So I believe the loneliness and the idea has something to do with our mental space or the capacity there. Your brain is so bombarded with what you need to do, and you kind of let go of being able to think about, oh my gosh, I'm lonely, and what do I do about that? On that, actually, I do want to welcome our guest, Romila. I see that you have joined. Would you like to add anything about your own experience of loneliness? And what is your take on that?
I'm not sure if she's there. She may have turned the video.
Yes, and you are on mute as well. So if you would like to, I mean, you can definitely unmute yourself. We would love to hear from you. And
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Prabha. Thanks. Thanks. I'm sorry. I was just trying to fiddle with the clip with the switch.
no
Sorry.
worries.
Yeah, good to hear. I think I joined a little bit late, but yeah, I think staying with you and listening you, I'm learning every single day. But yeah, you, what somebody who just spoke, I just forgot her name, Anjali, I think. Um, Gunjan, correct, Gunjan. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I think we are lonely at times, and I think what you said correctly was it's our mental space what we feel. I think it depends on us how we want to make it feel lonely. We can be lonely in middle of 500 people too, if we. So it's our mindset how we want to make it, because we come across through so many paths. We have so many going on in our lives, very stressful lifestyle. As we have seen our parents, their lifestyle is very different than what we have. Yeah, I think we need to, I like your statement always, just breathe, just relax, just breathe, just calm down. I think that's what helps you. And I feel you get energy backed up and you got to do what you have to do. There is no way you can escape from it. Yeah, sure. Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
bringing that energy. And with that, I mean, now that we see all kind of different angles of loneliness, I guess what comes to, I mean, there is a tinge of gray in that. There is a tinge of darkness in loneliness, the way we perceive it. I mean, it drives most of the mental illnesses, depression, etc. So I want to hear from Anjana about like why loneliness is a problem, how it becomes a challenge during holidays, especially.
Can I chirp in with my little
Yes.
journey first?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so before that, yeah. So after listening to everyone, including Romula, speak, I've experienced a little bit of all the journeys that you've gone through. So starting with Anjina, I lived my life in Kenya. So Vibha, Anjina, and Gunjan, we all lived the same life. We went from another continent. So growing up, I was like Gunjan, a GPA of 4.0, brilliant child, but was I lonely? Yes, because I wasn't very popular. When you're over smart, then kids don't really want to be with you because you think you're too smart for your pants. But I had lots of friends around me, but technically I never had this one special friend growing up. Then I got put in a boarding school, and that's when I really experienced loneliness because I was the only Indian child in this British school in Yorkshire, set in this tiny little town where I don't think they'd ever seen an Indian in their life there. So that's when I started really experiencing loneliness, and I hated it. And actually, to share with you, my journey actually became anorexic. During that time, I was in boarding school because of how I was treated at school for being this brown kid. And then fast forward, like everyone else, got married and came here. And now away from my parents, so far away, I felt loneliness. Even though I knew people here, there was nobody there that I could call when I was in trouble. So went through 5 years of a very abusive marriage. I really felt lonely because there was no one there to help. And then the divorce started, and then the community makes you feel lonely. So I wasn't alone because I had my children and my family, but the loneliness was there because there was no one that I could really call for support or even just to listen. And then fast forward now, if you tell me if you want to be in a room of 100 people, I'll say no. I'd rather just sit in a room with 4 or 5 smart women and have a good conversation, because that will not be loneliness for me. So I think growing up, for me, loneliness meant having nobody around you, not having lots of friends. But now, even though I know so many people, I prefer to enjoy my own company, or the company of just a few people that will impact my life positively. So like Romila said, your life is a journey. And I think as you go through all the steps, you definitely will experience different things. And as Gunjan said, when you go through a divorce, or you're busy raising your kids or whatever, you don't have time for the loneliness, because you're just so busy trying to fix and mend other things in your life, right? But if I go back to what Vibha said, Vibha, my heart goes out to you, because I deal with parents all the time that have special needs in my school, and I know where it is. And as Prabha mentioned, the example of, you have a child with special needs, you're going through a divorce. One of the things we get, especially in our Indian community, and I mention the Indian community because we are all Indian right now on this platform, even though this platform is open to everybody, our community is so judgmental that they think that when you're different, they can't associate with you, and you get isolated. And my heart goes out to you, because I see moms struggling with that, to make friends, for their children. And same thing with myself. When I went through a divorce, nobody wanted to be friends with me because they felt threatened by me. So my children lost all their friends as well, and they were so young. So yes, it's a big difference between feeling lonely and are you alone. And I think as you get older, you enjoy your own company, and you don't feel the loneliness as much as when you're younger and you think you need that energy. So yes, back to you, Prabha.
Thank you. And so to you, Anjana, as we go about the problem side of it, right? The problem side of loneliness that you feel, and please bring in the reference of holidays, but we don't have to limit it to that, right? I talked about it. I could be in a room with 500 people and I'm lonely, and that's the concept around holidays as well.
Right. I think there's some very, very good points that all the panelists brought up about the fact. There's one thing that sticks out in my mind, especially, is that you do have to be in a place in your life where you are comfortable with your own space and with yourself. And there's a certain level of confidence and contentment, I think, that you reach. But I think that's different. I think it naturally comes, obviously, but at different ages and different stages, and it looks different in every stage of life. So I having said that, when someone does feel alone, there was one thing, Rainu, that you did say about one special friend. I think if you are connected with your heart to that one special friend, I think there is less of that vulnerability and that feeling of loneliness, because there's someone that you can share your soul with. And I am blessed and lucky to have a best friend who actually is in Scotland, and we have been best friends since the age of 12. And she is my heart and soul. And my husband will always say, oh, okay, she's your John. And I'm like, yes, she is. She knows me more than you do, But, that really, I would say, has made a huge difference in my life. And I am so thankful and blessed. And I think that is something that everybody has their own journey, whether they get that or they don't. I think that has got something to do with it as well. And I think surrounding the holidays and even other special events, I think there's always the holidays, especially, it's all about family, togetherness, love, being together, putting the commercial aside to one side, the gifts and all that stuff, putting that aside. When we really look deep down into what the holidays mean, it really is about family time together. It really is taking a moment of deep breath, and family being together, your loved ones being together, and spending that time, because it's the end of the year. It's time to sit together, spend that time, reflect how the year has gone. So that's really what it's all about. And I think that really is affected with people that maybe that have lost loved ones or have lost family members. I think that's what really impacts them, and they may feel that void and that loneliness in that part of their heart. And and all of us may have experienced that, and or some of us may have not, but I'm sure we all will. And it especially does come, and this is, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it especially does come when it's a family member, and that makes it much harder.
And
So
that's,
yeah.
Anjana, you bring up the dark side of the grief, right? You had a loss,
Mhm.
you had a change in the life, and you have holiday season, and you've
Yeah.
kind of getting divided where, yes, I want to get together with family and celebrate, but there might be somebody who does want to get together with family, but grieve and not really celebrate, right? And then they isolate themselves as
Yes.
well. So with that, I mean, Vibha, what is your perspective around the problems in how that isolation plays out?
Right. So I'm going to be very honest. I mean, I always thought of myself as a very happy, outgoing person. But, the impact of the loneliness on me, I went through the whole 9 yards, the depression, the anxiety, the therapy for myself to deal with all of this. And, initially I was not keen, especially, the therapy part, but, bless my husband and my mom, because my mom was here last year and she said, if you're not going, I'm not leaving. And she had already been here 5 months. And she's like, I'm not going to see my daughter, who supposedly was very strong, independent, now turn into, this, mess of emotions or ball of emotions. So it was very helpful. I'm glad I did it. I'm at a much better place now. But it can be very isolating, just like everybody else said. And the holidays were also very difficult because I wanted my daughter to experience everything. And I did. I mean, I took this child everywhere from the age of 2. She's been going with me to the movies, and she, watches even Padman, Padmavas. She's watched all those movies with me. Um, and, I exposed her to everything, which I think really did work in her favor. Because today, if you were to meet Jaina, I mean, you would say, okay, there's something a little, off, but she's come such a long way. And uh, I know I get very emotional when I talk about her. I shouldn't be, saying all this stuff. But so basically, what I want to say is that there is a beauty in loneliness too. You should be comfortable with your own company. I take myself out for lunch. I take myself out for movies. I love going with my friends. But if nobody's going, I'm going. I don't care. And people are like, huh, you go to the movies alone. I say, हाँ movie में जाके करना क्या होता है? You just have to watch the movie. Why do I need 10 people around me? Yes, if there are 10 people around me, the more the merrier. But if nobody's going, I'm still going because I'm a huge movie buffoon, or
So
a buff. I call it a buffoon. But yeah,
Mhm.
you have to be comfortable with your company. You have to have a good set of people. And again, as you grow older, it's more like what Renuji said, it's quality over quantity. I've noticed as I grow older, as somebody who loves people, we're all social animals. I don't enjoy big crowds anymore. I feel like my anxiety is kicking in, so I won't hit a mall on a Saturday or Sunday. That's crazy stuff. I don't do that anymore. Um, but I think it's very important to have people, have groups like this, to be honest with you, where you can openly talk about these issues, which in others, situations, it's very difficult to just get out there and speak. And what made me and my daughter, well, maybe not her, but what made me feel loneliest, the fear of judgment, right? Okay, oh my God, what did she do that? The child is like this, or I wonder why the kid has. I mean, things like that. So you need panels like this. If you feel you are depressed, you are anxious, if it's mild, talk to your friends, talk to your family. I'm so grateful I have my parents and I can just call them anytime. I try not to call them and, pour my heart out because they're so far away. But when I have to, I do that. And I just have a good network of solid people. If you are in a bad place mentally, anxiety, depression, I don't know, even suicidal thoughts, It does happen to a lot of people, especially during this time. We are blessed. We are in this country where there are helplines. You can call, you can talk to somebody who may not even know you. If you need therapy, go for the therapy. It does help. As somebody who was like totally opposed to it, I was like, I'm not gonna go, I'm not crazy. And they said, no, who's saying you're crazy? That mindset. It's amazing how much of an impact our culture has on the way we do things. But to be honest with you, now even in India, I've heard that mental illness, depression, all these things are skyrocketing because they're dealing with their own set of issues. Not to deviate, so I'll just end this part by saying, reach out, have support. I have a friend here who is actually she's an American lady. She's like even older than my mom. She was my husband's business partner. So the past 20 years, I wouldn't have made it without her love, her guidance, her support. We even fight. Her name is Lisa, and I hopefully she'll watch this at some point. But if Lisa wasn't here, things would be very different. So support, reach out. All these awesome faces you're looking at right now. I know that if I send anybody, shoot anybody a text or a private message and I say I'm dealing with this, I am 101% sure that that person will respond. So yeah, I mean, hooray to great support systems, I guess.
It's a great point. So I think what you said about the darkest side of the loneliness, where you really get into the depression, reach out, take help, be it therapy or that one person or simply a forum. Like it's just, but take your chances, right? It could be really hard for people who are in that rut sometimes. So Gunjan, with that said, like how do you elaborate on that, the problematic side of that loneliness?
So yeah, I think yes, loneliness, as from everyone, it just seems like it is grief. It is a value of grief, whether you are dealing it as a smart child, whether you're dealing it with the fact that you have a disease, or your child has a neurological divergence, or you're going through a divorce, or any kind of ill will in your life is providing you that loneliness. So that's what it is. However, we were talking about around holidays. The topic was how about the season of loneliness. So I want to bring a little bit attention to the side that it has become a season of loneliness. It has become a holiday season. It's not like it is a season of like, it does not come around in June. It comes around in November and December. So there's commercialization around it. And yes, there is a part that holidays are often associated with family. But are they always associated around November and December? No. All the cultures have holidays around different times. Various cultures have their New Year's different times. Some people have it in April. Some people have their in September. All over the world, different cultures have holidays at different time. Jews have Hanukkahs. We have Baisakhi, or somebody else has some other part where the families get together. However, as the advent of industrialization came, we have come to the point where our holidays have all converged around corporate culture, where our holidays are all around one section. So we have commercialized to the point that, okay, this is the holiday time, this is the time you need family. So even if culturally you can be close to your family, you are pushed into the season of depression, season of loneliness. Today, Gen Z, which is our kids and our siblings, younger Gen Z, is 24% of them between ages of 19 to 29 say they are lonely. Why are they lonely? Because they're all pushed into this season of holiday. And that came in 1995 with the advent of MySpace, which was social media. And that plays a larger very larger point in it, because we are all on social media. We're all looking at everybody with their Christmas trees, with their gifts, with their elves, with their holidays, to the point in my Indian counterparts are doing elf without even knowing where elf originated from. We did not have elf before. Elf is started in 2000. There is a reason. Before that, there were white Santas. There were hundreds of other things that went around. So culturally, we have no idea why we are doing it, except corporations are pushing it, and social media is also marketing that is pushing it. So today we have a season of loneliness along with season of holidays. That's my take.
Powerful, powerful statement there about commercialization aspect that doesn't really come because we stay on the emotional part of it. So, Renuji, I mean, what else would you like to add here?
I'm still trying to take in everything that Gunjan said. She hit home with pretty much everything. For me, people think holidays are with family. I think sometimes hanging out with family makes you more lonely, to be honest with you, because you're forced to hang out with people you don't want to hang out with, and you rather not see them. I mean, I'll be really blunt. And I really agree with you that social media has created a lot of loneliness, because when you log on, you're like, Are ye party ho raha, ye party ho raha, and I'm not going to any parties, right? I mean, the mental mind thinks like that, right? But I think as you mature, you realize I don't give a crap. I don't really want to be at this party, because I don't want to be with these kind of fazul people at all in the first place, right? Because I'm going to be lonely anyway when I leave the party. You're just going to hold your drink and go hanji hanji and talk some crap, and then you walk out there and you're lonely, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's become so commercialized, and for me, Christmas time and Thanksgiving, it's just so much drama. It's just so much drama, really. Everybody wants to know, what are you doing for Christmas, this and that, and that's when the loneliness starts to hit. Like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going for a holiday. Or I'm not really going to all these parties because I don't belong to this group. No, guys, you know what? Loneliness means nothing. It's all a mindset. We go back to a mindset. It really is. And I really feel that if you can just tell yourself, the first rule for me is learn to love your own company. When you learn to love your own company, and like Vibha said, go to movies alone. I shamelessly go to events on my own. I don't care. And people will ask me, why doesn't your husband come? And I'll say, because he didn't want to hang out with you guys. That's why he didn't come. I came because he didn't want to be with you people. I decided to come. But it's a mindset. And if you can tell your mindset that you love yourself and you love your company, you will really be able to change this fact about loneliness. Because again, we've talked about being alone. Alone means having nobody around you. Then you're alone. And then loneliness is when you feel that you're unwanted and nobody wants to be with you. That's how I interpret the two. And I mean, I've been isolated 90% of this year because of my illness. I had to be alone. So I was alone. I wasn't lonely. I had everybody around me, but I was alone because I was missing human interaction with other people other than my family. So, going back to what each and every one of us has said, reach out. Don't be ashamed to reach out, because as Vibha said, I can guarantee you, when you reach out, especially to our group, to BWE, you will get an answer back. And for me, the holidays is about having people over that are alone. I rather have people over that are alone at my home than have family who's going to create tension for me and drama, and I have to be on my best behavior. I rather have somebody in my home that I can give company to because they are alone and they really don't have anybody around them, and I can just serve no turkey, no nothing, just have a glass of wine and chill, than have family that have to have this whole spread and they're still not going to be happy because something was missing. So that's my take on it.
There are a couple things, Renuji, you said. I do want to recap on that. You said, and that was very powerful to bring in, and it reminds me of one of my favorite authors, Brené Brown, who endlessly writes about shame. And you said, I shamelessly go to that party by myself. And you tell everybody to go and be shameless and go ask that question or demand a relationship to say, hey, Taggle, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you, and give that somebody a chance. There might be 90 people who are going to ignore that call, but there might be that 5 people out of 100 who are waiting for that chance. So shamelessly take that chance. And one more thing, like shame has a power. Shame has its power because you are trying to protect that unspeakable, right? Be it a divorce, be it being a widow, be it having a child who is not like others. There is shame because there is something unspeakable. And the only way out of it is speak to that, right? So I guess that's one way to break that isolation barrier, by being shameless. As Renuji said, I want to ask Anjana about like how, if you want to summarize to that end of it, like how do you fix it based on your learning and everything else? How do you come around that fixing and bringing that wholeness?
I think from my personal experience, a lot of it is growth in, like what Renuji said and all the rest of the panel said, it is growth. It's all about building that self-confidence, loving yourself, and being happy with your own company. And I think that comes through your own journey in your own time. I think that's really important. But I think as you go along, this is a great platform where we have the BW tribe. I think it's such a great support system. But I think to get to that point where you are comfortable, you are confident, you enjoy your own space and your own time, which I love. I totally love my own time and space. If I don't have that, I will go nuts and crazy. So I have to lock husband, daughter, everybody, go away. I just want to be spending my own time. You have to have that. But to be able to get to that point, I think along your journey, you've got to have some sort of a tribe that has got you to that point. And I think there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I don't think it stops at being that child. I think it continues throughout your life. And that village doesn't have to be a whole bunch of people. It could be that one or two or three special people, whether it be family or non-family members, but you do need that so that you can get to a point where in your mind and in your journey of life, you're like, okay, I'm comfortable and I know how not to feel alone or feel that loneliness. And I think at that point, when you're at that stage, I think you should be able to recognize that in other people and be able to support them and help them, because I think it's very, very important, especially as Gunjan was saying, with the influence and the huge impact, negative impact of social media, and how the Gen Zs are so isolated. And, you know, I mean, there's so many things that my daughter just doesn't connect it. I'm like, you know, and she's okay. All right, my mother's crazy, but you know, this is what we've got to teach them. We've got to teach them that, you know. So I am thankful. It was a season of thankfulness and, you know, gratefulness. So I am thankful and grateful that I am part of this building women empowerment, the tribe. You know, I'm very grateful for that, because it's someone will hear, someone will listen to us, someone will hear this voice, our voices, and it will make them think and it will make an impact. So I'm just grateful that I have the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
You know, I just want to chirp in here that we went to a Pretty in Pink event last week.
Yes.
And I was one of the speakers of that event, and I mentioned to everybody there, Anjana, thank you so much for coming up and, you know, meeting me and whatever. And I mentioned to everybody at that event that, especially culturally, we have a habit of creating these little clones and just wanting to sit with our little groupie friends and not making contact. And then you make somebody else feel alone, because there might be somebody sitting in that event who came alone, or the friend didn't show up, and now you don't even make an effort to talk on the table to somebody. And one of my suggestions at that event was go up and meet. I make it a habit, you know, and now even though I can barely walk, I make a habit now is go out and meet people that when you go to an event, don't just hang out with the people you know. You already know them. Why do you need to just sit and with the same people you know? Go out and meet people you don't know, because when you go out and you connect with other humans, you will actually find other connections. And sometimes just putting a face, so many people came up to me that evening and said, oh, I'm your Facebook friend and blah, blah, blah. And it just made me feel so wonderful, you know, suddenly that I was connecting with people that recognize me through social media. So use social media as a form of recognition, but not just to like my photograph. Come up when you see me or I see you. Come up and recognize and say, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I'm part of your group." And it just makes you feel so warm because now you put a voice to a face, and it just makes so much difference. And that right there just makes builds relationships. And that loneliness or feeling alone is going to go right there, right away in seconds, because somebody has come up to you and connected with you. And I always say, give that unwarranted compliment. Don't come up and tell me I love you. I mean, so many 5 or 10 people came up and said, "I love your gray hair." And I'm like, stop. Talk about something else. Why don't you come up and tell me, "I'm so glad to be part of BWE." Forget my hair and my lipstick. Just talk about BWE. But Anjina, you came up and found me and made an effort, and you introduced your friend to me, and I now made a new connection with your friend. That was just a wonderful way to meet new people. So
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
And Renuji, it goes back to that part of being shameless, right?
Yeah.
What is holding us back is about, oh my gosh, what will that person think? Or,
Yeah.
What will they say? And I'm going to just rather be protecting that shame behind those unspoken words that needs to be spoken. I mean, during
Prabha, people came to me and tapped my shoulder and said, "Do you recognize me?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't." And they said, "I'm your Facebook friend. This is what I do." And I immediately like, "Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much." And then I made an effort when I came home to find them on my Facebook and go and thank them for meeting with me. And now I made that connection that I can remember.
I'd actually add to that, you're right, because if I do think about it, in BWE, I was one of the first ones who
Yes, you did.
met
And
with
what did
you,
you
and
do? You
and
flew.
you introduced the whole group with that, and it was a very
In
good
actual fact, you were
start.
in another country. I still remember. Gunjan you were living somewhere else, and
Yes.
she messaged me, and she said, "I'm going to be in town. I would love to meet with you." And we met for dinner. And we
Right,
broke
right.
the
And it
ice.
was like I wasn't even in the area. I've been like
Yeah.
nomad for like 3 years, but like I stopped in and I felt like, okay, there has a Tillo connection, has a BWE. I at least have to meet in person if I can. And
Not
I
only
think
did we
that is
meet in
the,
person, but I had an event at my home, and I had
yes,
invited
actually.
Gunjan right away to my home, because the first thing she told me is, "I don't know many people here. I've lost a lot of connections." And the first thing I said to myself is, "You know what? I'm not going to have a party of just my regular friends." I invited Gunjan.
Yeah,
And
and that goes on to say in holidays you meet new people. And I would
yes,
say I've carried on in these 3 years.
yeah,
I don't think I've spent a holiday with my family at all. It's all been new people. I've traveled all the way to India, Mexico, and all that. And I think that tradition has carried on. So
yeah,
I feel in that
absolutely.
way, BWE was a wonderful beginning. And I love it that that's how we started and we
Yeah.
are continuing onwards.
That's awesome. So Vibha, what is your recommendation and fix?
I'm on board with all of you. Together is better always. I am definitely that person who will just go and talk to anyone and everyone. And my husband will sometimes be rolling his eyes. He's like, "You don't even know them." I said, "Now I do. I know them better than I did when I walked in." And people are surprised and they're shocked. They're like, you can just go talk to anybody." Yes, because you know what? Even sharing my story, I don't know who's out there who might be in a similar situation, but because I have been able to talk about it, and especially as a special needs person, what you learn over time is the more we share with each other, the better we feel. And I could be saying something that could help somebody else's child thrive the way my child has thrived. I'm not losing anything. I'm doing something good. I'm putting this positive energy back into the universe, because had I not been around a few wonderful people, therapists, teachers, human beings, my daughter would not be where she is today. So it's not just me. All these other people have a role to play. So go out there, talk to people. I know it's hard to go and reach out to somebody you don't know. And look at this group. Look at the beauty of this group. I have actually contacted Renuji. I've never met her face to face in person, but I have reached out to her 1 or 2 times with questions about other people or things, and I always get a response. And I know that if I reach out to any of you here, I will get a response. So that in itself is comforting. So make those relationships. If you're sad, you're anxious, talk to somebody, get the help. There's help out there. We should feel blessed. We're in a country where we have access to all these wonderful specialists, especially here in California, people who can really figure out what's going on. There is no need to suffer alone. um, get out there, talk to people, make friends, have your little crew that you know is always going to have your back. And what is loneliness, man? Enjoy your own company, love yourself. End
Actually,
of
on
story.
Thank
that
you.
note, enjoy your own company. I would say we are talking about a lot of people to go out and make friends. They're introverts. There's so many different kind of
Yeah.
people who have hard time doing it. So I would like to just throw out one nugget out there. There are books. Books are also your friends. There are characters in there, and reading will build your character. It'll build your resilience, and it will actually give you thought process to deal with your loneliness. So don't just think that you have to go out and meet people. There are people in books. There are characters that will build your
Reading,
character.
writing, for me, writing is a
Yes.
great outlet. I never
Yes.
thought I would be writing poetry, but over the course of the last 3 years, or especially during
Yeah.
the pandemic, I went crazy,
Yeah.
with that. And my
And
friends are like, "Oh my God, publish!"
And Prabha mentioned Brenna Brown. I love listening to her. She's so motivating. There's so many people on YouTube, in the car, instead of talking on your cell phone, put on one of these motivational speakers. They're so
Mhm.
powerful, so powerful
Yes.
that you can listen to it. It'll make you realize that, the way we've been raised and the way culturally we've been raised is so ridiculous because there's other ways to implement things in your life. There really is.
Yeah. And we're talking about Brene Brown, she also talks about authenticity. And I think what I gathered, if I have to summarize it, is everybody who's trying to feel the connection is looking for an authenticity in the connection.
Yeah.
We are suffering in those gatherings where everybody is coming in with their armors and their mask and these concept of perfection that doesn't exist and expecting the same. And it is hard, it's draining. So until we find that space and the courage to be authentic and develop that authentic relationship, I guess we will continue to feel lonely and we'll continue to be alone. So I want to pass on the mic back to Renuji. We are almost about to close.
Yes. We're almost at the end. And first of all, I want to thank Prabha. You stepped in last minute and you've just done such a powerful job of hosting this event. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that because it takes a lot of time to prepare. So I think on that note, as part of the BWE tribe, I'd like everyone to summarize in just one line. Why do you feel it's so important to empower each other? If everybody can just share one line about why they're part of this group and why do you feel empowerment is so important? So I'll start with you, Prabha.
Empowerment is always within. I feel like anybody who is born there is a power of the soul that needs to exist in this universe. So the power is inside of me, and realizing that potential and living myself is literally the definition of empowerment. So it is not something groundbreaking. It is just about finding your own voice and allowing it to flow through you. So empowerment to me is really living your purpose. And there can't be other way around it. Anything besides it is fake, meaningless, not living.
Absolutely. And that's why I always talk about finding your purpose. Anjina.
I would have to say there's one thing I heard a long time ago, and I really truly believe in that. And I think this is part of building women empowerment. People remember you by not what you say or what you do, but how you make them feel. And I think we make people feel, and that's what building women empowerment is all about.
Thank you. That's beautifully said.
Thank
Gunjan.
you.
Hi. I would say empowerment is finding out how many ways you have been powerless all your life.
Yep. Put a lot of food for thought over there. Vibha.
If you ladies are okay with it, when I heard Prabha speaking about being your authentic self, I wrote this poem. Can I quickly recite it?
Absolutely.
I think it'll. Okay, so it's called, the title is Unapologetically Be You. Aren't you tired of fitting into the molds that various individuals have made for you? Individuals who wouldn't bat an eyelid to accommodate you. Is this how you intend to live your lifetime? Catering to the unreasonable requirements of others. Where are you? The real you, the flamboyant you. You know, the one who everyone admires, even those who fail to admit it. You know your value, you know your worth. Then why are you filled with so much doubt about your abilities? You're awesomely exuberant, sprinkling joy and laughter wherever you go. You're able to connect across various diverse spheres, from young to old, from faith to faith, from race to race, from ability to ability. You see beyond all this man made pettiness, an ability much of the world has yet to master. Stop constantly questioning yourself. Have faith. You have a lot to offer. Know your worth, and as they say, please leave the table if respect is no longer being served. More powerful words have yet to be said. You know yourself, you know your heart and soul. As long as you are pure of intent, as long as you're not deliberately hurting anyone, as long as you're thinking of others and looking beyond yourself, as long as you're constantly having a conversation with your conscience, you're on the right path. Don't lose yourself in all the noise that's out there. Unapologetically be you.
Wow. Did you write that?
Yeah,
Good one.
Wow. Very deep.
writing is my
Lot of-
happy place, Renuji. That helped me cope with a lot of stuff.
Yes. I write
Yeah.
poems too for my happy.
Nice. I would love to hear
Yeah.
yours as well.
Ramila, are you there? Would you like to share before we exit?
Yeah, Renuji, I'm here.
Absolutely.
So this is the first time I'm just in this call, and I really enjoyed listening you all, and pleasure for me being here as Prabha introduced me here. So I would say I learned a lot from you people for sure. All the beautiful souls out there. What I would like to add in, I think, as you asked for the empowerment, right?
Yes.
So my take on it is, I think first and the foremost thing for any human being has to first love yourself and respect. If you do not respect yourself, nobody will respect you. So what I have seen in a journey, if you will show that this is important for me, people do respect that. So we need to step in, we need to mention this is important for me. And I think it goes that way. It depends on you. We always blame others. You know what I mean to say? It happened because of him. It happened because of those. It happens because of them. I think it's all in our mindset. If we want, it is in us. Somebody can slap me, but I'm hurt outside, not inside. It's me, what I will do inside, right? You can, like, if I want to take something good, I will take it what my conscience will think. Hello? Yeah. Are you there? Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, my philosophy is very simple. I'm around the family, I'm around the kids, I'm with everybody, but I always enjoy my time alone. If I'm in a birthday party or I'm outside in social gathering, it is not that I'm a social person, I'm an extremely social person, but I need my space. So I'm not that I'll be going parties every single day. There's nothing wrong who people are going. That's perfectly okay. But for me, I'm kind of I need my time, I need my space, and I can find people whom I want to be connected. I have people next door to me living. Maybe we don't meet for years, and I have people who can just knock and get to my door. I think Prabha gets that, what I'm trying to say. So just a simple example I could give you, and I talked to this about one of my friend. This Thanksgiving, I'm very low profile. I do not go to parties. I do not invite people too much because of my health reason for quite some time, but still, I'm up there. So this time when I had people in my house and when everybody left, I don't know why I was so content with me. I was like, these are the people I am connected by heart. It's not fake. It's not made up. It's what I like to be around. So people will come, they will be like, as I think Renuji said, people will come and fake and whatnot. I can feel it. I have that sense. So I myself like to be with my family or myself alone or with the people whom I'm really happy. I can talk on the phone for 10 minutes, good to go. I have people from my school, I have from my college. I know people here, but I know the type of material I have. So I always feel like people can feel you when you give time. But if you fake it out, it's too soon people will come to know you cannot stay. So
Thank
I
you
always,
so much, Ramila,
yeah,
for
so
sharing
that's
those
how
insights.
No, that's very nicely said.
I,
So I was telling you that you've categorized people. You have I talked about this once. You have the people that you really want, the happy people. I have become this character called BB Kanelkar. And
I love that. Oh
BB
my God.
Kanelkar talks about you belong to my happy list or you belong to my fazul list. And
Fazulness,
yeah,
correct.
you have this fazul people that you can hang out with every now and then, but then you have the happy that you don't mind being with. But thank you so
Yeah,
much,
absolutely.
everyone. And I think
Thanks.
the purpose of the show today is that the holidays are coming up and you're feeling alone, You're feeling alone, not loneliness. You're feeling alone. Don't be scared to reach out. My home is always open. I may
Oh,
not cook that turkey for you, but I'll be very
sure.
happy to make you a cup of chai and sit down
Yeah,
and
pronte खा सकते हैं.
forget I'm not cooking. I'm done with it. Yeah.
Right.
Parotas you can buy at the Indian store and bring them on.
Absolutely. That's what I
Right.
do now.
Throw
But
another
don't be
panel together
yeah.
and have
Don't
everybody talk.
yeah.
Who cares
Don't be
about
alone.
food?
And
Yeah.
even if you live in another city, pick up the phone and call. So be
Oh.
shameless because if you're not shameless, you will never be able to reach out. So be shameless and be proud of who you are. And you'll be surprised that when you just pick up the phone and say hello, there will be somebody warm on the other side that will respond back and say hello and listen to you. So you will not have to be alone and you will not have to fear loneliness. So
Right.
thank you, everybody, and a special thanks
Thanks.
again to Prabha for hosting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabha.
Prabha, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Prabha.
Prabha.
Thank you, Renu.
Thanks,
Gunjan,
everybody.
Everyone.
Great.
Viva, and
Thank
Romila for
you. Have
joining.
a great
Thank you so
holiday.
much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
yourselves,
Bye.
everyone.
Everybody.
Take care. Be
Thank
safe.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.